Hey, it's Jason. Welcome to Zombicide 2nd Edition, the Reboot Box. This is the Kickstarter stretch goals. This is video part 4. If for some reason this is your first one, go check out parts 1 through 3 if you'd like to see all the content. Part 1, we do a brief overview of the box and go over all the different zombies. Parts 2 and 3, we go over the survivors, the 39 brand new survivors. Half in one, half in the other, obviously. And then part 4 here, we're going to go over the 124, I'm kind of divided a little bit differently, upgraded kits for 1st edition. What this does is this will allow you to bring all of your survivors from Zombicide 1st edition, which would be like the base game, Rumor, Toxic City Mall, Prison Outbreak, Angry Neighbors, plus all the guest boxes, all the other boxes like that. It lets you bring all of those characters into 2nd edition by updating them from having the big, long dashboards. Let me grab one of those. So, 1st edition used to have big, long dashboards like this. This is actually from the comic book extras box. But it'll shrink them down into the smaller size like this, so they'll fit on the new little card holders that you can have. All the symbols are on the same side, so they'll work seamlessly with 2nd edition. So yeah, we will go ahead and we're going to go through all of these. I am going to do those unlike I normally do. I'm not going to read off every single ability. Might just kind of like look over some of the cards, maybe mention some here or there. But being 124 cards, I don't want to go through all of them for 2 reasons. One, the first half of this stack, the stack I just showed you is actually only about 70 of the cards. That stack I've already done a video on because there's a separate upgrade kit you can buy that's outside of this Kickstarter reboot box. I'll try and remember to link it in the description. It goes through all the ones that are all the survivors from the 1st edition that are available in retail. Like again, the big boxes I named. And then the second half of the cards, which I'll make sure I re-mention when we get there, are all the Kickstarter exclusive characters. So you can pick up the other box that has all the stuff that lets you play, is all the retail version stuff. That's a little bit easier to get, somewhat cheaper. Some of the core games are a little bit more expensive, but you can pick up a lot of the guest boxes and the secondary boxes a little bit cheaper. So I'll let you pick up, as well as it also has a set of cards in there that let you play as all the zombies. So let you bring a lot of the zombies from those sets into 2nd edition as well. So if you pick up the box of zombies that have the Toxic or the Seekers, and some of those guys, they'll let you put them in 2nd edition as well. So we're just going to kind of fly through this because I've already done all of them. The other reason I'm not going through all of them right now is I don't have all of them. I don't have any of the core sets personally. I have Angry Neighbors, but I don't have all the other main ones. So I don't have all the miniatures to show off with them. If in the future I end up getting all the other sets, I will definitely maybe just do a full video where I go through each one and show them with the miniatures, with their characters. Alright, so we're going to start off. The first one here is, these are all the characters that were from the base set, core Zombicide, and they're also mostly the ones that are copied over from 2nd edition. I think they have basically the same abilities. The upgraded cards, 90% of the abilities stay the exact same from 1st to 2nd edition. There are a few characters that have abilities that change a little bit. Again, I'm not going to I don't have the original cards, so I can't compare them. Again, I'll do that in a later video if I can. The few that I know do or are going to have changes are going to be some of the stuff from, I think it's Prison Outbreak, or it might be Rumor. I don't remember which one, but there's one setting with specific abilities. There's the pilot ability because it has a helicopter. Since there is no helicopter in 2nd edition, they removed those abilities from the cards. So they just won't have them listed on here. They didn't want to put abilities for something that's not in the game. On the back side of each card, so we have Amy here. She's, nice melee range, mid, she has medic at the bottom. If we flip these over, they also have the Zombivor versions. So what these are is a lot of almost every single character, not every character, but almost every character in Season 1, I keep saying Season 1, in Classic Zombicide, I'll try and call it, had a zombie version you could get. So they had 2 miniatures, a regular and a zombie version. And the idea is what you could play is if your character had died, you could have them resurrect as a zombie, as a Zombivor, and they have a special symbol here. They have more health, and they gain some extra lives. Alternatively, you could just start with a Zombivor if you wanted to, just to make the game a little bit easier, or, you know, let you play a little bit longer. The other big difference is they had some of their abilities changed, and they no longer have their yellow free action. Any Zombivor automatically lost just one free action. It generally became, typically it becomes a free ranged or a free melee action or a free move action. So it still gives them an additional action. It just limits on what they can do versus just having a general action. But as you can see, she has move, slippery, +1, low profile, and medic. And if we flip it over, it says move, melee and range. So her melee and range change. She switches it. Her range kind of goes up. She gets another move. She gets slippery. So a couple of her abilities change. She keeps medic, but she gets some +1 guide to combat rolls, and she loses that for like low profile. So it's kind of neat. They do change their abilities up a little bit. So what I will do for this video is we'll just kind of and we'll look over them. I will have each card held up long enough, so if you like to pause it and read it, you can sure do that. And then I'll flip them over and we'll go to the other side. We'll do the same thing. We're kind of just going to blitz through a little bit, because again, 124 cards. It's going to take a little while to go through all of them anyhow. Alright, so up next we have Doug, who's kind of our guns guy, but he gets to a little bit of stuff. He has matching set, which is a fun ability. And you can flip over to his Zombicide. Kind of keeps how he gets Dreadnought Runner. We have Josh, who has the Guillotine shirt on. Movement character. And yeah, these are all base game characters, so they're not going to have any crazy or outlandish abilities. That usually doesn't happen until you get to the Kickstarter exclusive characters, which if you've been watching parts 2 and 3, you'll have seen that they did that with a lot of those. They changed up the characters a bunch so that they have more, you know, sometimes crazier or harder to play abilities. The core set, especially the base game, have pretty straightforward actions. You can kind of fit everyone into the role. You have your melee character, your ranged character, your in-between character that doesn't excel one direction or the other, like a support character. So this guy's going to be good for doing like searching for items and helping you out. I think they get a good balance here, because they don't have anyone that just 100% just falls right into one thing for the base game, which is kind of nice. We got Wanda. She gets to sprint around because she's on roller skates. Her zombie version. And then finally we have Phil. So this is the classic core box set. He starts with range 2 damage, which is, I think, a little bit overpowered, and starts with Brothers in Arms. This is a really fun one to start with. But if you're playing a 4-player game, he's kind of like the little bit more epic guy in the base game. Get some fun, different abilities. Alright, then we are going to jump to the second one, which is, I believe, if I'm trying to remember the orders of all these, I believe this is Prison Break. Characters from there, so we're going to start with Belle. Yeah, so this is Prison Outbreak, which is the first, which is Season 2 of Classic, which is the first big box set. So it's essentially like another core base game you could play. So we're going to get a couple of different characters here. And then, of course, there's zombie versions. So when they first started out, and throughout that, not all sets came with the zombies right away. Some of them you had to buy an additional pack to get the zombie version. If for some reason you have like just this version, it doesn't include the zombies, you can always just play as the zombie version if you want. Just flip your card over, even if your miniature doesn't match. Here we have Joshua, boring leader at the bottom. And he gets a little, it's a neat idea. They haven't revisited it yet in second edition, so I don't know if it's something, and they've already released 3 expansions, bunch of other packs. I don't know if it's just something they decided to abandon the Zombivor thing, if there's just too much extra work to do. There's Griglock, or, you know, if maybe they just didn't want to make double miniatures for everything. Maybe they found out not enough people were playing as the Zombicide versions. Maybe they thought it was more fun to just, hey, if your character dies, I have to restart over. It makes it kind of more of a puzzle versus having that fallback option. And I think maybe the other reason is interesting to have the campaigns now in 2nd edition. Kim, they're double hammers. I think she switches to guns, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, with the campaign mode, it'd be interesting to see how would you do that with your character dies 2nd mission in, and then you get a zombie. So that's going to actually extend it versus where you're supposed to kind of have like a crew. Here's Shannon. It's an interesting way to wield your double barrel shotguns. Point blank, the regular is always fun. And that's kind of neat because some of the alternate art or the zombies, they switch to different weapons. So she switches to pistols. Just to kind of give them different looks. And there is Watts. Oh, I say Watts. And now he has a gun as well. Alright, so then our third set of characters is from Toxic City Mall. Toxic City Mall also came with the first bunch of Zombivirus, which redid Zombivirus for the core set. So that would have been like Phil and Wanda and so forth. So if you buy that, you get the extra zombies in there. Which is kind of a neat idea, because then you had only a few... This is an expansion, you got a few add-on characters, but then it also made your other characters more playable as well, because they got the zombie versions. Raoul, Horde, Medic, Webbing, definitely is a search character. And he loses Medic for Tough, so he just kind of starts defending himself. We got Elsa, or Lisa? Maybe. Breaking, just to break open things. Obviously, probably Black Widow inspired. But usually, yeah, the core game characters are maybe inspired by something, but they're not like directly referencing like the Kickstarter ones do. And we have Nima. Alright. There's our zombie version. And we're gonna hop into Rumor. This was interesting. This one had probably the most core set characters. You get about 6 characters per core set. This one had a ton. So we get Bear. Big giant hulking guy. Kathy. I also find it interesting. So 124 characters just from the original game. Plus we had 39 in the 2nd edition, plus in the Kickstarter box, plus like the 12 or whatever in the core set, plus how many different expansions. I think like out of the well over 200 plus characters, they've only duplicated names twice, which I find very impressive. Like, I'm hoping that means that there's somebody at Guillotine or Simon who's doing these. It's like actually like checking, like, oh, hey, we want to make Dan. Do we have a Dan in season 1 yet? And actually checking that stuff. Here we got Firefighter, which is pretty fun. James. Yeah, I think one of the 2 that gets doubled off the top of my head is, I think there's 2 James. I don't remember if there's one from one set and one from, I think, like a Kickstarter, so maybe it just got missed. Max Range and Sniper, nice. Got Jane there. I just actually said James, and I just thought about that's who it was. I think the other one is Keiko. But what's interesting with that is it might actually be the same character. I'm not counting like Phil and the guys from like season like core set classic and 2nd edition, because those are literally the exact same characters. They're just or like upgraded versions of characters or zombie versions. I'm talking like wholly original characters. But I think Keiko might be the other ones. I think she's in both comic book Simon comic books. Here we got Joe, Like he's holding a Molotov, but he does not have the 2-for-1 Molotov ability, which I would have given him. 2 cocktails are better than 1. Yeah, but I think Keiko, I think like the first game she's like kind of wearing more of like traditional like Japanese outfit and wielding a giant bladed weapon. I think the second one was supposed to maybe be like a newer version of her, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read the comic books to see if that's the case. Here we have Lori. There are some names that are very similar. You got like, you get like James and I'm trying to think where. You know, like maybe a Matt, and I don't think there's a Matt and like a Matthew. There are some names that are very close, but not quite the same. What's also interesting is I think for the most part, this actually carries over to almost all the Zombicide games. So even when you're talking modern, which is what this one is, here's Luis. Going into fantasy, Black Plague, Green Horde, White Death, into sci-fi with Invader, Undead or Alive, which is the Western one. I think even counting all of them games, I think there's only like 5 or 6 maybe total characters that have the same name that aren't, again, like a crossover character, like where clearly it was supposed to be like, oh, this character from fantasy, like, is supposed to be like the designed version of that in the Invaders or something like that. Here's Maddie. What is she wielding there? Is that an 8-ball screwed into like a crowbar or a billy club? That's interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of neat. Going through all these games and they don't have very many, even games that cross over through all them games, which that means there's well over, probably between all the games, there's probably well over 400 different characters, which is, I think, a testament to the fact of they're trying to be very inclusive by including all different types and races of people and all that. You know, I mean, especially now we start getting like Rio, we got more core set stuff with some Spanish people. Very interesting. You do some really fun sets with that. We have Terry. And then our last one for Rumor is Travis. So it's an archer, and then he has another one of them like little billy clubs. Alright, so the next set is Angry Neighbors. Angry Neighbors is a very interesting set. So all 4 of these characters were people that pledged during one of the previous campaigns, and I know it was during, this is, I think, season 3 for Classic. I think during season 2, there's 4 people that pledged high enough level to basically get a character made for them. And they put him in Angry Neighbors as a core set, which is really cool. They could have added him as a Kickstarter character. But they literally made him as a core set. So these are actually 4 backers of the game. So, there's Adam here. So I don't know how much hand they had at deciding their characters. Like if they said, hey, I'm Jeff, like I want to be ranged character, I want to do this, or if they got like kind of draw some of the character, decide. I'm looking at their outfits as I wonder if they just had, this is what they were wearing when they sent in a picture, so I think they kind of drew them off of. But yeah, maybe they had options like, hey, I really love this ability. Can you put this ability in there? I'm not for sure. It would be interesting to find out if that how that works. So here I have like Julian. So you have a couple of ranged characters. And there's 2 ranged characters and 2 kind of melee characters. Ish. So it's kind of interesting if they sort of decide, I'll put his mask off and then now he has it on. The last one was Tiff, who has a guitar axe, but she starts with a submachine gun. How come she has a guitar axe and this is not a weapon in the game? Right? Like, I would have... That's one misstep I wish Zombicide would have done more. Would have been adding more, like... you see a character has a special type of odd equipment or whatever, I wish they would have included that in the game, even if it's an expansion pack. That would have been kind of neat. Oh, this has 5 new weapons because it has this person's carrying this type of weapon. Granted, they don't have to start with it. It would just be more aesthetic. And plus add more new weapons to the game. Alright, the next packs we have up are the Ultimate Packs. So what these were, whereas they're supposed to be survivors from the first game, the core set, that have survived all the way into, I think, Season 3. I want to say that's when they came out. Might have came out in Season 2. But the idea is they've survived from the first beginning of the Zombicide through the couple of years, through all the stuff with Zombicide. So now they're more trained. So they have different abilities. They have 2 blue abilities, so that should just start a little bit more. So they're kind of like your advanced expert characters. And they get Zombicide versions, of course, too. But the Zombicide has lots of the same abilities, but it has the picture of the original. I don't think they actually made Zombiver versions of the Ultimate characters. But they did make the abilities that work with them, which is a cool idea. So we got Doug, goes from the office worker, but now you can see like they're all geared up. They have like more armor, more better weapons. Starts with 2 blue abilities, which is fun. Then I flip him over, he goes back to his regular look. You got Josh, all he did was basically put a jacket on over his hoodie. But slippery and jump, even having double blue abilities is kind of a fun aspect, because you can kind of say what abilities sort of work together, right? And I think that was the idea. It kind of focused them more into roles like searching and scavenger work really nice together. And you get the extra thing that you can search in a lot more places. Wanda ditches her waitress outfit for some more practical clothes, but still has a sprint and she has bloodlust melee. She's kind of like gotten into the killing. And there's her old version. And then finally we have Phil, the cop. He starts with a shotgun and he has a lifesaver. And then he actually it's almost the extra upgraded version even more when you kind of look into second edition. Alright, so the next set's kind of an odd one because it's another Ultimate set, but it was available in retail, but it is Ultimate versions of some of the Kickstarter characters. This is kind of fun because it at least lets you get versions of some of these first Season 1 classic Kickstarters. So I have Chaz here. Now, unlike my Reboot Box when I went through the last 2 videos and we talked about who each character is, I'll try and mention if I know who they are off the top of my head, but I don't have my list out going through mentioning each one. So yeah, obviously Chaz here is supposed to be Chuck Norris, but getting that upgraded thing. So this is a quick preview. Here's what the original Chaz looked like, and that's what the upgraded one looks like. So you can see they definitely changed some stuff. But those guys are Kickstarters, so we'll go over that in the second half. This is just retail stuff. But yeah, it gets the 2 abilities. I flip over, it goes to his regular version for his Zombiver version. But he still has all the new abilities. We have Claudia, who I don't remember off the top of my head who she's supposed to be. Some dice roll melee and dice roll range, gives her some options. We have Dave. This is supposed to be Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Look at that though. 2 cocktails are better than 1 and starts with 2 Molotovs. That's crazy, because then now you don't have to worry about wasting them as nearly often. That's a crazy attack. So there we go with that. We have El Cholo, who is Danny Trejo's Ultimate version. 2 machetes. Starts with 2 machetes. I think that should have just been like starts with machete, starts with machete. I think that would have even been fair enough. Then giving him double abilities. We have Ivy here. Honestly, I kind of skimmed through some of these guys. Sniper and starts with a sniper rifle. So that makes sense, right? Definitely makes them harder characters to play against, or play with. Not harder, makes them better characters. Marvin has Destiny and search 2 cards, so he can basically redraw his cards if he doesn't like them. And there's his old version. We got Nick here, who's our Bruce Willis, who is tough and lucky. Tough to start with is very powerful. Basically not be able to take one less damage at the beginning of the game. And our final ultimate one is Troy, which is of course Bruce Campbell or Ash from The Evil Dead. Shotgun and a +1 reload. You don't see +1 reload too often anymore. I don't know if we saw it all during any of the other reboot stuff. Alright, so the next bunch of characters are all the guest artist box. So these are all again a little bit different art styles, but they were all, you can pick up the guest artists. They came with the 4 miniatures, 2 regular versions, 2 zombie versions. And they're some of them are based off of the artwork or for whoever does these. I don't remember off the top of my head who does each one of these. This is Adrian Smith, who the artist was. I have the boxes sitting right in front of me, so luckily I can read them. We get Paul Ray Johnson. Starts with super strength. Imagine that, right? Just starting with being able to do 3 damage. And then he has Bones, who starts as Tactician. Trying to see the boxers. So the next one up, we have Karl Kopinski, who has Angry Mary, Reaper Range. So these guys are a little bit more powerful than your core characters. But that's the whole thing. You're buying a core game, you should have basic characters. They're strong, steady. When you're picking up expansions, I should expect to get people who are a little bit more stronger, a little bit crazier, because I'm trying to add on to my game, make it more enjoyable by giving my guys a little bit better abilities. And then he's got Red Cap Bang. Starts with hit and run right off the bat. There's his zombie version. Up next, we have Uncle Honk, who is Kevin Walker, who did this design for this. Just a clown, right? How has this not been thought of? Like, yep, we need to have a clown that's going to go around murdering zombies. It's also fun, of course, if you really wanted to. You can also use the Zombivor versions as other zombies to fight against. Definitely be awesome if you could get them all painted, because then that way you could basically, oh, they don't have a base, they're just a zombie, but they wouldn't be the colored. That was the other big thing that first edition changed from to second edition. Second edition, all the playable characters are like the orange color, and the zombies are all gray. In the classic Zombicide, every single zombie survivor character on their Zombivor version had different colors. Like one guy would be blue, one would be green. And the idea is that way you could kind of have a better idea of who you are without having the bases. And then the zombies were all different colors as well. Like Toxic were green, Berserkers were orange, Crawlers were yellow. Kind of nice to like differentiate very quick when you're just playing with that. But it'd be awesome to get them all painted. Just for the fact that if they were all painted, they would, they look cooler, right? They look cooler. Then you can also mix and match stuff. So this is Dylan. This is a one set I don't have. This is Paulo. I forgot the rest of his name. I don't remember if that was his first name or last name. Like Paulo. I don't remember. It's the one set I don't have. But we have Dylan here, who's like a construction worker. You can obviously see from the artwork, this is probably why this is one of the best selling or hardest to find sets, because people are like, oh look, it's half naked zombie legs. I do want to see the miniature though, see if the screws are sticking out of her leg. And then we had Maki, who's the sword master. And then she turns into a zombie. Up next, we have Miguel Combria. We have Kevin here, who's the undercover cop, I believe, who has taunt right away. And there's his Zombivor version. And then we get Peach to go with our sports team. I would love to make like a sports themed one. We have enough footballs and cheerleaders and all this now. Of course, she starts to jump. And as a zombie. I love that as a zombie, she switches around to wield the gun as a melee weapon. I just always found that interesting. Then we have Brother Max, guest artist, who is Lucio Parlio. Might be pronouncing that wrong. Dreadnought Walker. To start off with that, it's actually really interesting. Plus, there's like Barbarian and Full Auto. This guy's like, I'm a holy man. I don't believe in the dead until like a bigger one comes after him. And he's like, I'll believe. Then we have Donna, who looks like she's probably some sort of ninja, maybe like an Electra inspired character. There's her side. Then we have Doog, or Doog, Edward Guten. Designers are kind of anime inspired. I love the like big giant backpack. Yet for some reason he has all his medical stuff on him. I think it's supposed to be keeping him alive, but it seems like he should have been like a medic character. But it's even funnier. Like you have a med kit carrying zombie who's trying to stay alive with that. Very interesting. And then the other one, which is crazy, is Tomiki. Or Tamako. She's wearing a giant bunny rabbit costume, but she only has the top half on for some reason. Which also, like, seeing something like this just makes me wish, like, they released a mascot set, like, sports team type mascot set that could be Slash Survivors or Abominations, or even, like, Brutes, maybe not even Abominations, just, like, they could be all Brutes. Because you'd be bigger characters. That'd be very funny. Then the last 4 characters are a little bit different. These are all John Kovalak characters from his webcomic. But what's interesting about these characters is they don't have zombie sides. So, like, as an artist, he decided not to let these guys have zombie versions. Because they're his characters he actually uses in his comic versus all the rest of these characters, I believe, are just, they're either based off worlds these artists do. Like, I know Adrian Smith does, which is the first guy we looked at, does Hate. So these might be based off the Hate world, or Red Cap Ben was based off the world that artist does. But they aren't characters in that world, but these are actually characters from John Kovac, who does Munchkin. So these look like Munchkin characters, but these are from his comic, which Dark Tower. I was like, well, excuse me, but yeah, they don't have zombie versions, so they're only one. They're double-sided. I think they just did that. But yeah, they just have their one versions. They also, lots of them lost an ability because they did give them like the ability to like drive the helicopters and stuff like that. So they lost those. So we had Carson, we have Gilly. We have Igor. But yeah, because we don't have zombie versions, we get 4 characters. You can make a full team of these characters. And then we have Matt. So that's definitely cool. We get those 4. Then the last set of characters we're going to go for are the... these are kind of retail release. They're sort of. They're not Kickstarter. But as we have the game night boxes. So what the game night boxes are is 5 sets of these. That were released to big box stores, brick and mortar stores. They could have Zombicide game nights and tournaments and stuff like that. And then they had these promotional characters. Each box, I think, had 6 versions of the character, 6 copies. So, like, they could hand out 6 different ones with their miniatures and everything. So, they're not, you can buy them now on retail. You can find them at some used stores and stuff, but they aren't Kickstarter exclusive, but they weren't technically like straight up generally retail. So we have Kyoko here, who has Flameport, and I think all of these people are based off of for the game, like they're either based off other people in the gaming industry or people that worked at Simon or Guillotine. I don't know who exactly they are for sure off of. But I think they're all based off of that. But then they do get their Zombievor versions. So we're gonna hop through those. We have Thiago, which I believe works for Simon, I want to say, or did at the time. I don't know if any of these people still work for it. Do it. Although it does look very Austin Power-ish, but that might just be because he's British. So that was box number 2. Box number 3 gave us Bill. Very standard looking characters, kind of something in the zombie version. Box number 4 gave us M. Fail or Foul. Molotov, he has a taunt there. And we go the other direction. He gets rid of his Molotov. Zombies don't carry Molotovs. And then the last 2 characters came in box 5. And these were other internet people. We have Jovum Nerd. These are other gamers that do stuff online and stuff like that. So he has Steady Hand. I love this. Like, he has a flamethrower. Give me a flamethrower, right? Give me that as an item card. I like those also like a burnt arm, so he burnt himself. And then the last one, which is part of that same box set, was Azaghal, who is Swords Master. Double. Yeah, I wish it would give him like double axes or something. I even wish these guys would have given him like the ultimate guys. It would have been cool if they gave him like a secondary blue ability. Just because they're supposed to be a little bit more harder to get characters. Would have been very cool. Alright, so those are all of the characters that were technically released in retail or available in retail when the games were coming out. They're also part of the, if you go on like Amazon, I know probably has it, they have called the Ultimate Upgrade Kit, which has about 70 of some cards in it, plus a bunch of spawn cards for walkers, or for zombies. That's going to have all of these cards we just looked at. I have done another video again. I will again link that in the description if you want me to. I think I actually read through all the abilities on that. So that's it. So the next bunch we're going to go through are all Kickstarter exclusive characters. I'm going to try and break them down in the best way possible on how they were in Kickstarter. But thing to remember is when Simon first started off, this is one of their first games where they did a lot of Kickstarter stuff and a lot of content. So they didn't have it nearly as like everything in one big box like they do now. Everything was broke up. Like, you unlock these 6 characters, they went in this box. You unlock these 6 characters, they went in this. These 10 characters were all available as separate add-ons you could buy by themselves. So they didn't just have all the Kickstarter stuff in one box like they do now. And it's almost a better way to do it. Just put it in one thing. So we're going to go ahead and head into those. So we're going to start off with Chaz. So these were all, for the most part, these were all either characters that were either available as exclusive to the Kickstarter for Classic Zombicide. They weren't available in any other box or in a special Kickstarter box for that. Or they were available in the first box called Zombie and Zombievers. So some of them, and this is what got really tricky with these, because a couple of these were available as Survivor only in Kickstarter, and their zombie versions were only available in this other box. So you couldn't even get them all together. But we have Chaz, who's our Chuck Norris. And we'll flip him over. We did see these ultimate versions of lots of these characters already, but their ultimate versions are different. We have Claudia, which again, I don't know who she's off, but I will at some point do a full video, hopefully with every character. But there is her. We had Dave, which we mentioned before, was Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. So they do have a set of characters throughout all of these that kind of follow the Big Bang Theory characters, which is very interesting. But they're all kind of, to get all of them, it's not easy, because like one comes in this box, 2 come in this, some come separate. It's kind of a pain. But you gotta start, the 2 cocktails are better than 1. I love the Zombie version where his arm's on fire because he doesn't know how to use a cocktail and burned himself. We have the El Cholo, which we mentioned was Danny Trejo, who's actually now in 2nd edition by a Danny Trejo set where he's actually listed as Danny Trejo. He signed off on it. So there he just starts with 2 machetes. Pretty crazy. We have Marvin, who I'm gonna guess it's supposed to be a Sam Jackson reference. That would be my best assumption just by looking at him. But I could be wrong on that. Then we have Nick, who is our Bruce Willis, probably more specifically in, my brain said Lethal Weapon, but that's not right. Why can't I think of the movie? I can think of the plot of everything. Die Hard, there we go. John McClane. Then we have Troy, who's our Bruce Campbell, Ash. Starts with the sawed off. Flip him over, he just switches to using an axe in his thing. So the next three characters weren't part of the Ultimate set, but they were part of the original Kickstarter. Oh, I'm sorry, one of them was. We did have Ivy, who I believe that's just going to be Angelina Jolie. Probably looks like from her Mr. and Mrs. Smith outfit, maybe. So there was her. So the last two we didn't have in there in the Ultimate set. First one is Ava, who is brain is failing me on names now. She's from Kill Bill. This is why I write this stuff down before I do these. Uma Thurman. There we go. I think that's supposed to be Uma Thurman. The last one is another comic book character. The Cardboard Tube Samurai from the Penny Arcade webcomic. So this is one of the characters. The characters, it's a gaming webcomic. They talk about video games, board games, whatever they feel like talking about. They talk about everything. Which is really popular back to the time when Zombicide was coming out. And in the comic, they have one of the characters in there has a persona he plays sometimes as the Cardboard Tube Samurai. So you can see he has a cardboard sword. So that's kind of cool that they were able to add him in there and that they were willing to make a zombie version. And I'm pretty sure it's drawn by the artists from the set. So that is that one. And look at Super Strength and starts with a katana. Alright, so the next set we're going to go through is the box set. It's actually called Zombies and Zombivers number 2. The first one had some of them other characters I mentioned before and kind of completed that. These guys are by themselves, so basically they have both versions in there. So we have Thisa, or Thyasa, not sure how you pronounce her name. There's some interesting abilities. Search, Destiny, Born Leader. And flip over, she becomes a zombie. I like the pose in there. The knives behind her. That's pretty fun. Again, some of these are references to people. I'm not sure who she's referencing off the top of my head. We do have Rose, who has a flamethrower again. She works as cocktails in this game. Also has Medic. And this is supposed to be her hair burnt off. Again, the zombies don't know how to use fire. From Murder, She Wrote. Why can't I think of her name at the top of my head? It will come to me later. I know it will. All this always hits me later. I'm not thinking about it. And Angela Lansbury? That might be right. Then we have Ralph. From Zombieland. This is... Oh, why? I'm blanking on names today. It's pretty bad. He was in Zombieland. He was in Cheers. He's a comedian. And I can't think of his name. Alright, I'm going to keep moving on. We're going to keep going. It'll come to me. I'll maybe tip him sideways, so if I remember, I'll grab him. We have Kirk here, who is kind of mean, but it's supposed to be Steven Seagal. It's kind of like later is when he got a little bit more overweight. I think he was always kind of a bigger guy, but he always looked like he was in shape. But yeah, melee damage too right off the bat. It's definitely nothing to joke about. There's his other version. That definitely looks serious. And then we have Brad, who's supposed to be... My brain just said Clint Eastwood. I think that's who's supposed to be like a young Clint Eastwood. Yeah, starts with a shotgun, even though does he have a shotgun in this picture? No, he has a pistol. It's like a Magnum. I think that's what some people complain, like, why? I think they changed this one to second edition. I think his classic he starts with a Magnum, but in second edition they don't have a Magnum or didn't at the time, so they changed it to shotgun. So I always wonder if at some point they might do an updated version, again, like I said, some characters in modern classic had like stuff for piloting the helicopter and stuff like that. So if they ever re-add those into second edition, I wonder if they'll reissue some of these cards. I doubt it, but that would definitely be cool. Alright, so the next box set we're going to look at is Zombievers Set 3. Yeah, so this is Smith, who is Snake Plissken. I remember the character's name, but again the actor is slipping my mind. Who plays Snake Plissken? I'm just gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. You gotta keep moving. There's so many cards to go through. We have Mike here. This is off of The Shining. Starts with a chainsaw. That's awesome. My brain does not want to remember who any of these people are. Yeah, it's famous scene. Here's Johnny. Yep, go ahead and leave comments about these, because I just don't remember them. I didn't write any of them down, because I wasn't trying to focus on that. This is Nicolas Cage, supposed to be part of Air Force One Mac. Starts with 2 Kakuris. That's pretty cool. Don't see that too often. And he drops down to one of them. And then we have Gary, who's supposed to represent the dude from The Big Lebowski, who is my brain keeps saying Jeff Goldblum, and I know it's not Jeff Goldblum. It is he was in Iron Man. He played Obadiah Stane. I remember roles, but my brain is just blanking on who these people are for some reason. I love that you can see his bones. Jeff Bridges. There we go. This is Jeff Bridges. Jack Nicholson. We got him. Woody Harrelson. It's just my brain. I said eventually it'll catch up and I'll start remembering all these names. It just takes me a minute. We're still looking on this Snake Plissken one I forgot. This is Chuck, who's obviously an actor. I can't even remember his name. But he has done all of the he's done a bunch of the different zombie movies and horror movies. I hate that I don't remember this stuff. I'm usually so good at all this trivia. I love the second hand. So the first part's there, and then the second part he gets a collar. This is a direct reference to the movie, which also name I can't remember. It's him and Simon. Oh, his name I don't remember either. They're playing. There's two different. There are a bunch of movies together. There's the one where there's the zombies all attacking and they're going to their different bars and stuff. Then the other ones where they're cops. And it's everything just out of my head on who these people are. Yeah, at the end of the movie, he ends up he's a zombie. He stays a zombie. So it's an good reference to that movie. Then the last one we have for that set is Achilles, who this is. His Zombie Born leader. This is supposed to be the guy that plays the person in Silence of the Lambs, whose actor's name, again, is horribly escaping me. And this stuff is driving me nuts that I don't remember all this stuff. Alright, so then the next bunch we're going to go through is going to be... these were optional characters from Season 2. So Season 2 of Zombicide was Prison Outbreak and Toxic City Mall. And then we had some extra, like, random characters that were... they're probably stretch goals that were available, so either you purchased them separately, just if you got them as stretch goals, they didn't come in one box. They came in a bunch of individual boxes, which is why a lot of people buy them, and they just kind of sit around. Alright, so first up we have Will, who is Howard from Big Bang Theory. I don't remember the actors' names. I never actually learned most of them, so I'm not going to worry about that. Look at damage, range, +1. So these guys get a little bit more powerful. Dual expert, gunslinger. And you guys get a zombie version. So that's our second Big Bang Theory character. We have Ross. I know who this is, and it's just not clicking for me. John Goodman. I'm not sure what movie he's supposed to be from, off the top of my head. Which ones that's referencing. We have Rick, who's Jason Statham. I think his role is he's called the Stuntman. There's a zombie one. We have Leah, who I believe this is Emma Stone from Zombieland. I think that's supposed to be what she's representing. Kind of goes with the other Zombieland character we got. Alright, then we have Helen. I'm not sure, but just by looking at this, this looks like... And why are names failing me for all these? Looks like the woman that plays Bones on Bones. Whose name I just don't remember. She starts with a flashlight, which is really cool. Yeah, it's not even hitting me there. Here's the other half of Chuck. Simon Pegg. That's who this is. Says Reaper Combat to start with. And there's his zombie version. Up next, we have Dakota. Who I love that it kind of looks like she has a prison outfit, but she's like wearing it like all sexy. But this is supposed to be Pamela Anderson, who has Taunt, which makes sense. Born leader at the end, she'll tell you what to do. And then the final one for that little group is Adriana, who I have no idea who it's supposed to be. Probably, maybe like Beyonce, maybe. I'm not for sure. I just think like the fro. I wonder if it's like it's reminding me of Beyonce from Gold member, Austin Powers. But it's probably not what that's referencing. Alright, next up, this is part of the Infected pack for Season 3, which was Rumor and Angry Neighbors set, Kickstarter. And the Infected pack was like their Kickstarter type stuff. So this actually had some of the characters that came with it. So we have Bastion here. And this is supposed to be Ben Stiller's Zoolander. He's doing his blue steel look, his matching set. And he has a zombie version. Up next, we have Cat, who I have no idea on this one. I'm sure someone mentioned it, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, a scantily clad brown-haired woman. That could be a lot of people. We have Doc, who is, of course, House from House, whose actor's name is escaping me again. But he starts with Medic, of course, which makes sense for him. But he does all the melee stuff after that. He'll heal, and then after that, he'll just start beating people. I don't know why I don't remember lots of these people's names. Up next, we have Jesse, who's Gordon Ramsay. So I mentioned in the other video, like Anthony Bourdain. So these guys can kind of have a cook-off team. Both melee characters, which makes it so he switches from a frying pan to double knives. It just becomes like possessed. Up next, we have Kabrar, who is Raj from Big Bang Theory. Slippery move, free combat actions. And then his other versions. Now you can see like we got 3 different Big Bang Theory characters, but they're all spread in 3 different areas. So yeah, they kind of made these guys hard to track down. We have Lucius, who I am not sure, but he's carrying a potted plant, which makes me think of Munchkin, which makes me laugh. And there's his other side. We have Seth, from Taken, Liam Neeson. He has a special set of skills, which are the same as everybody else. And there's his other ones. Now, again, that's what I think would have been cool. They didn't do this too much in first to get more in like crossover packs. But I love when they started making like very specific or special abilities for some characters. And there's some here and there I could see them really doing that for. Up next, we have Spencer, who is why am I blanking on him? He's from Breaking Bad. He's from Malcolm in the Middle. He is the voice of Zordon in Power Rangers. I do like, this is actually a very interesting one because his zombie completely changes. He goes from having the full suit like the beginning of Breaking Bad, to when he turns into a zombie, he has on his like meth suit, which is very, very interesting. I can't remember his name either. I'm doing terrible at this game. We have Yuri, who is the main character in 24. Who I don't remember why I don't remember this. But yeah, it definitely makes sense for him to have distributor and then eventually tactician. Because that's what he's going to do. And that show is kind of representing that character. Alright, so the next group of characters were the Season 3 optionals. So, I wasn't part of this campaign, so I don't know exactly how they work with that, but I think these were the ones that weren't part of a box set. They were stretch goals that kind of just got released as tiny boxes. But we have Patrick, who of course is Leonard on Big Bang Theory. So here's how we get our 4th Big Bang Theory character. I'm going to flip him over. Up next, we have Oksana. I should actually know how to pronounce that. I know someone with that name, Oksana, who is Mihaila Jovovich, looks more like a Resident Evil version. So a lot of combat and free reload and stuff. There's our zombie version. So we'll get some more Big Bang Theory characters. We get Nikki, who's the alligator wrangler. So this is Penny. Free range, lots of range stuff. And she flips over. And the next one we have is Miss Trish, who is Bernadette. Full auto, action range. Tough is interesting. And sniper. Get some really good abilities there. Her zombie version. Then we have Chris, who is Val Kilmer. I don't know why some of these names are just popping in my head like, yep, that's who that is. And some of them I'm just blanking on totally. And we have 2 more for this little pile. We have Kiro, who looks familiar, but again, I can't place who this is off the top of my head. There's his other one. Is that all you got? And then the final one for this little stack is Benny, who is Sylvester Stallone, of course. I don't like how they keep giving Born Leader at the bottom. I like when it's kind of more in the middle or the top because it seems to be more useful. I feel like reg abilities are like last-ditch effort unless you're playing a game long enough where you're going to go into red zone and you're going to run back through everything. So there's that. Alright, the next pack is they had some 3 packs of characters called Mustache Pack. So we get our characters that all have mustaches or famous mustaches. Just Sean Connery. I never really thought Sean Connery was being famous for his mustache, but this is Rob. Breaking. He should have had steady hand. He just misspelled it. There's this other version, which is funny. It's called Mustache Pack. And then look at what part of him is missing. His nose through the bottom of his jaw. Where his mustache would be like someone purposefully turned him into a zombie because they ripped off his mustache. We have Frank here. Starts with a fire axe that he has a baseball bat. Sometimes there's that disconnect between artwork and abilities. This is Tom Selleck. There, he just takes off his shirt. And now he has a baseball bat with nails. Again, they should give him a fire axe. The last guy I am not familiar with. This is Don. It looks very British, but yeah, I don't know who he is off the top of my head. Then we had Mustache Pack number 2, which gave us 3 more characters and their zombie versions. We have Dick, which is Will Ferrell's character, supposed to be representative of Anchorman. Otherwise, Will Ferrell's one of the characters would be interesting because he doesn't always have a mustache. He changes it back and forth. Just kind of a interesting timing to use that. What would a Zombicide game be without Leroy or Mr. T? Pity the Foo. So again, he should just have an ability called Pity the Foo. Or even if they just made an A-team set, that'd be pretty cool too. So yeah, it's tough to start with. Very cool. And then the last one for that is we have Paul, who... Oh, why is this name slipping my mind again? So I always see him and my brain wants to say Danny Trejo, but it's not Danny Trejo. He was in Iron Man. He was Whiplash. I know he's in lots of other stuff, but that's like my first thought now is where I go for him. I can't think of his name. He's done a lot of stuff too. It's not these aren't famous people. Alright, so we have 3 more cards to go through. These were 3 kind of like random other characters that didn't really fit. They weren't in one of these other boxes. They weren't in the other thing. The first one we have is Audrey, who is Amy on Big Bang Theory. She was part of like the All-In for Kickstarter, I think on season 2. So, like, if you backed everything, you got her as exclusive. So, I don't know how she comes packaged separately. Like, I haven't seen her, but a little bit harder to find. But she starts with Zombie Link. She also has a Molotov, just like Sheldon did. This is very interesting artwork because, her hands are way up in there, so you can't see what she's doing. Then the last 2 were cosplayers that were, famous cosplayers that just ended up like promotion with Zombicide or whatever, and they got some extra characters. So we have Elena, who's a Swordmaster, lots of melee stuff, and then her Zombicide, Dreadnought Runner. And then the last character is Union Worker number 42, I believe his name is Charles. Just kind of interesting. You have one that's like a fantastic cop. Like, I'm just not knocking either of them, but like Elena's there is like looks like highly detailed, accurate costume, and then Charles looks like he's strapped cardboard together and put on a Halloween mask and football armor. So it's kind of funny to get the 2 different like sides of that. But that's definitely cool. So those are all the Kickstarter exclusive characters, and that's all of them. So that was a Reboot Box 2nd edition. So if you have 1st edition characters, check to see which ones you have. If you have mostly just the core games and some of the guest spots, stuff like that, you could probably pick up that that Ultimate Upgrade Pack, and it should have all of them in there. And there you go. You can check out my video where there's links online. It probably have posted which ones are which. That also is also nice because if you buy the boxes of zombies, it comes with the spawn cards for those. So some of them are like, give you zombies from them other games, including dogs, the companion cards, so you can play against zombie dogs, zombie crows. You can play as the companion dogs. It gives you cards for all them other characters, which is really fun if you can pick them up. If you own lots of the Kickstarter stuff, it may be worth trying to track this down just so you can play them, because again, there's like 40 some characters or something like that. There are extra ones you can play as. Although you could probably just go online, download the images of all of them, make your own if you like. That might be cheaper if you don't want all this other content. That is what we have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed all these. See you later. Bye.